Hello, everybody. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is the 5 common causes of astral projection failure. Before we get into it, just to mention a couple things. First of all, Patreon. If you'd like to join Astral Club on Patreon, all you have to do is go down to the description. There's a link there. Next up, astral projection lessons. If you like a lesson, learn how to astral project, I'd be glad to work with you. Work with folks now all over the world. All you have to do is go down to the description. There's an email there. Just ask for more information. Lastly, I want to talk about a spiritual counseling service. I've had a number of people requesting that recently, so I've decided to implement it. If you have mental health problems, you see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. If you're a member of a church, you might take your spiritual problems to your priest or your minister. Or your rabbi or what have you. However, what if you don't fit into either of those groups? And what if the spiritual experiences you've had are a bit unusual and you don't want to be judged or thought crazy or weird or whatever? That's where I would come in. I've had quite a bit of experience, and I can tell you that there's probably nothing you're going to say that I won't have heard before, and perhaps I'll be able to help. So if you're interested, then just go down to the description, and there's an email there for the spiritual counseling service. Just ask for more information. Okay, let's get started here. The 5 common causes of astral projection failure. The origin of this is in the book Astral Travel by Gavin and Yvonne Frost, of course, liberally sprinkled with my own commentary. The first common cause of failure, I don't think will be a surprise to anyone who knows anything about this topic, and that is fear. Fear is always and will always be the number one cause of failure for a lot of things, not just astral projection. How do we deal with our fear when we want to astral project? Well, my best answer has always been that knowledge is the cure to fear. Fear is something that is created when we find ourselves in an uncertain or unfamiliar circumstance, and we don't know how to react to something because we've never seen it before. And so our animal fear kicked in. Now, animal fear, I'm not going to bash it because it's what kept our species alive. You know, if we went up to pet all the pretty kitties that today are called tigers and lions, our species would not have made it anywhere near this far. So our fear definitely helped to keep us alive. But if it is too powerful in your lifetime, it can ruin a lot of experiences and prevent you from having a lot of different types of experiences and lessons and what have you. So, how do we deal with that fear? Well, when it comes to astral projection, I feel the best thing you can do is get information, good quality, reliable information. So read, some good astral projection books. I've mentioned some over the years. There's quite a number of them. Listen to podcasts and videos on YouTube by people who know what they're talking about. People who have astral projected themselves, not just heard about it or read about it somewhere. For instance, remember when I talked and I had a couple episodes on the Shadow Man? That is one of the common occurrences that unfortunately afflicts newer astral projectors. What happens is these things, like mosquitoes sense blood and they zoom in on mammals and certainly humans. But it's something that we can deal with, something that we can overcome, because, like, for instance, these shadow men are about as smart as your average mosquito. So do we feed them with fear and make them grow stronger? No. What we do is we realize that they're actually powerless shades and that they will not affect us in any way, so we ignore them and go on our way. And what will happen is they'll disappear and never show up again. That's what happened to me as a kid. Famously, I've said that I flipped one off and then went off on my projection, and I never saw another astral shadow man. which is kind of a shame. I'd like to flip another one off if I had a chance. Okay, number 2, health. It's important to be healthy because sicknesses weaken your overall energy field, and that traditionally will not make it easier to astral project. It'll make it a lot harder, especially if there's pain involved. If you've got physical pain going on, it's going to be very difficult to separate from your physical body because the pain interferes with everything that you need to do in order to transition out of your body. So how do you deal with that? Well, if you've got a physical problem, go to a doctor and get it taken care of. Do whatever you have to do to restore your full energy. If you're not sleeping enough, get enough sleep. If you're, because if you've got a sleep deficit, it's just going to make astral projection a lot harder. Because, when you're well rested, it's easier for your subconscious mind and your conscious mind to get together and help you leave your body. If there is a health situation, it's just going to interfere with everything that needs to happen. So take good care of yourself so that you can astral project, if nothing else. Next up, this is something I don't talk about all the time, but I have mentioned it, electrical fields. You want to make sure that there are no strong electrical fields where you're trying to astral project. One of those things that can interfere is jewelry. Jewelry can cause you to remain in your physical body. It's like something holding you there. I remember once, very long ago, I had on a ring, and I don't wear any jewelry today. And I tried to leave my body, and I got out, but my finger was still stuck to my physical finger because of whatever electromagnetic field this ring was giving off. So what you want to do is you want to check and make sure there are no undue strong electrical fields where you're trying to project from. The book mentions that you should just turn off the electricity in your house. I don't know how your roommates or how your family would handle that, and I think that might be going a little bit too far. But you want to make sure that if you're going to try to project, you want to make sure you take off rings, jewelry, anything that might cause you to stay in your physical body or to get stuck there. And it's very interesting. I don't know if you knew this, but in Eastern temples, they're built with no iron in them. And in the old days, all iron and steel in a village was locked up prior to any religious festival. So even they knew that there was something about these metals that was interfering with a spiritual experience. So let's take heed. Next up is timing. Well, the aim of astral projection, you want to get into a meditative state. But, you wouldn't try to learn how to ride a bike in the middle of a large hill. You'd go somewhere safe where it was easy. The same thing happens when you're trying to astral project. It's easier to travel when the sun is below the horizon. It's also easier to travel when the moon is full. And I can swear to both of those statements because I've had the same kinds of experiences. So what you want to try to do is, if possible, try to arrange it, therefore, so that your first attempt occurs sometime around midnight and the full moon. I've always found the full moon to be a very powerful influence on my spiritual abilities, and perhaps you do too. So if that sounds like something that might help you, well, listen to it. Lastly is the phone. Our phones have pretty much taken over our lives now. You can't go anywhere without getting a text. I remember back in the old days, before cell phones were popular, you could just head off in the mountains on a vacation, and there was literally no way anyone could contact you. what you would say, what I would say is, okay, I'll be calling home, in about 3 or 4 days at this time. So, just kind of be ready to talk to me at that point. And I remember once when I was still in high school, my mother asked, what if somebody dies? How will I get a hold of you? I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? you know, if they've already passed, there's really not much I can do for them. Which of course is a slightly smart aleck way of handling it. But the point is, we need to get away at times. We need to go somewhere where we don't have any distractions. And if you can go somewhere where there aren't any distractions, perhaps that will be the added oomph that you need to have your first astral projection. So leave that phone somewhere where it's not going to disturb you, where some text isn't going to come over your phone at 1 in the morning and ruin an astral projection, for instance. Okay, so those are the 5 common causes of astral projection failure. They're all pretty simple, but they all can definitely ruin things if you don't make allowances for them. If you liked this, please hit the like button, share it with those of like mind, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you leave your comments and questions and maybe some of your experiences where you had an astral projection ruined because of one of these things. This is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.